a void, but it's not a void. And there's lots of others around me, but we're all sort of specks. We're singularities.
Very good. Very good. Now, it sounds like you don't have a body.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe your essence? Are there colors involved?
No, I don't experience color.
How do you experience yourself?
Just thought. That's all. There's sort of matter, but not the way that we experience it.
Very good. If I were to look at you, what would I see?
Nothing.
Very good. Now, is there anyone with you in this place?
There's lots of us. It's a sea of us that seems like nothing, but we're all here. And people come, beings come, not really people, and some of us will go with them, and some of us don't. Just depending on if we want to go or not. But this time, someone's come and they're who here we would call Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother, and are just saying that they want to create something, and if we want to go with them to create, we can be whatever we want to be, instead of being nothing, because here we're separate. We don't really others are there, I know they're there, but I don't experience them. Other than just knowing that there's something else there. There's no relationship to them. There's no, it's which is why the experience is nothing. Anyway, and so I want to go. I think that the experience of gathering together and being something and seeing what else there is besides just my thought, just my singularity, sounds fun and interesting.
Very good. Can you describe these beings that came to get you?
Light. My only experience of them at this point is that they're light, that there's more than one, and that they're light.
What do they feel like?
They feel really good. They feel fun. They feel like like an invitation to the, like the best party.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the idea of that you can be whatever you want, but the light is so that unconditional love feeling, that feeling of that you can be whatever you want to be or do, and all of it is right, all of it is perfect. And I want to join that. I want to be a part of that.
Yes, that sounds very nice. Now let's see what happens next. Let's move you forward to an important time. You're there now. What is happening?
I have a body, but it's ethereal. It's ethereal, and I'm small. Not really in size exactly, but in my experience is still small.
Yes.
And I have a I want to call it a box, but it's not a box. And it's a toy, but and I'm playing with it, but it's to teach me more.
Yes.
And right now I'm learning about matter and what matter is and how you can move it and manipulate it. And so it's a box, and then it's concave, and it's triangular shaped, and then it's a ball, and I'm just learning about that, what it feels like and what it looks like, and how it can be experienced.
Very good. What do you do with this ball?
Right now I'm just manipulating it. I don't really have much thought for it exactly. Like that it would have its own thoughts or ideas.
So you can manipulate this ball? How do you do that?
I do it with my hands, but it's like my hands touch it, but they're not really what's manipulating it. They're just an extension of my thoughts of what I want it to do.
And if I were to see this box moving and being manipulated, what would I see?
It still has no color. It just has form. It's hard to describe because it's not transparent and it's not opaque. It's just form. It's not so much visual as it is purely physical.
And what is the purpose of learning with this? What does this teach you?
I'm going to go and help create the world and the worlds, and so this is teaching me about manipulating matter so that when I'm ready to create water or rock or whatever I'm working on, I know what it feels like. And I know what it feels like when it's right.
Wow, very good. Now, could you change this thing that you have into different elements, such as water or rock?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you feel the right feeling for water right now?
Mm-hmm.
And rock?
Yeah.
What other elements can you create with this?
Anything. It can be air. It can be fire. It can be anything because it's just matter. And the atoms themselves change according to what I want it to be. It can be a crystal. I can hold it and turn it into gold or pyrite or anything.
Very nice. Now, if you said you had an ethereal or etheric body. If I were to look at you, would I see anything?
I do have a human form, but yeah, just that spirit form. So some people could see me and some not, but everyone there can see me.
Can you describe what you look like?
I have curly hair, not curly hair, wavy, but kind of like the way women did their hair in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
So it has the curls on the bottom, sort of like a page boy, which is funny because I loved that hairstyle when I was little. I always thought that was the prettiest hairstyle. Now I know why. And I'm sort of wearing a dress. I really like ruffles and lace. I don't like those. I hated those as a little girl. But here I do. And so I have that. I must have seen other humans and other people living on to have, or somewhere I'd seen it because I just really liked them, and so I have them because I can make my form look however I want.
Yes.
And what I'm wearing is sort of a dress and sort of robes. It's not like any clothes here that I could specifically relate it to.
Yes, very good. Can you describe to me how you came from a thought and received an ethereal body?
That was fun. I got to see what options I had and choose whatever I wanted, and I wanted to be like the light. And I wanted to learn whatever that meant, to be like that. And so I could have chosen something more material, but that wouldn't have brought me at that point to be more like them, the way that I wanted to be like them. And so I first learned how to coalesce. That's the only word I can think of, but like bring stuff around me that is also me, but hadn't been me before.
Yes.
And then from there, I still didn't have form, but I but I had mass. I had more than just the singularity.
Mm.
And then I started to have some light and sort of color. There, I wouldn't have called it color then.
Mm.
Um, and from there I started to learn different things, different options. Every time it was options. And even though I want to be like the light, there are lots of different ways of being like them. And so I just got to pick whichever one I liked the most.
Yes.
And it was always really fun. And I started finding others that were similar to me, and being around them, I learned a lot about what I liked or what I didn't like. Because even in those that were choosing the same forms that I was choosing, there'd be something different about them that I liked or I didn't like.
Mm.
And because the light is so big and so great, and it's kind of overwhelming, it was harder to learn from them directly at first.
Mm.
And so I learned a lot from those that I was around, and mostly just what I liked and what I didn't like. I didn't I not that there I didn't there was no judgment, though. There was no, it was just, I don't want that for me, or I do want that for me.
Yeah.
It's fun to me, or it isn't fun to me, or it's interesting. And some things I would try because it was interesting to me, and then I'd be done, and I didn't want to do that anymore.
Yes.
And so I tried lots of different sort of forms, but they weren't matter yet, so they weren't the forms that we would see here. It was just different ways of being, different things. And then I met Christ, and I met that's what we would call him now, but and all the people that were like him. And he's like what I would say is the best big brother here. It was that kind of relationship where all of a sudden I had someone that I could learn from. Not by he never really taught me, but just him being around, I learned a lot from him. We would sit and talk and play, and I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be with others the way that he was. Before that, I liked the other people around me, or existences. Other, I liked them, but I didn't have that much of a relationship with them. They just were, and I enjoyed them being them, but I didn't care about if they progressed with me or didn't progress with me, or went the way I went or didn't. That didn't really matter to me.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, with him around, I wanted to, I cared about other people or other beings going where they wanted to go. They didn't have to go with me, but just actually being able to be a help or a support in whatever it is they wanted to do or be. And all of a sudden I had the ability to do that I hadn't really had before.
Now, I'm curious how this Christ was able to have these attributes. How did he develop them?
He'd done all of this before.
So he wasn't born, or so to speak, at the same time as you?
No. No. He'd done it all a long time before.
When you say he'd done it all, what does that mean?
He started off the same as me.
Had he had physical?
Yes. He'd had a physical body, and he'd been on an earth, and he had just lived a regular, not just once, but like lots of times. He'd tried lots of different physical manifestations, and he has a body now. He's not just a spirit.
What do you mean he has a body now?
He has matter. I don't have matter yet. But he does. I can sense and feel that he has mass that I don't have.
How did he get that?
From the different lives, he learned how to be able to keep mass over time, over doing it so many times.
What is the purpose in keeping mass?
I don't know. It just looks cool.
And do you want to do that too?
I do. And he's so much more like what I want to be, like that light, like that Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother. And it, like, I always wanted to be like them, but with him, it makes it obvious that it doesn't feel like just something I'd like to be. It feels like I know I will. That I really will be just like them eventually. And even more if I want to.
Sounds very nice.
Sort of like that stepping stone.
Yes.
That makes everything else solidly possible instead of just hopefully.
Yes. Are there others there like him?
Oh yeah, a lot. There's a lot of them.
Are there any that you connect with, like you connect with him?
Only a few. I remember him the best, and I also remember who here we call Lucifer or Satan. But I remember him also being a really good friend and someone but he was more just a really good friend. Like, I really loved him and loved hanging out with him and playing with him and learning from him, and I know he saw me as like more like that little little sibling, little sister type idea, but not quite the same relationship, but just loved him.
Anyone else?
There's also a woman there that's with them that I'm really good friends with. I don't know who she is.
Yes.
like earth stuff, but I know her.
Would you describe her to me?
She's dressed. Oh, that's why I'm dressed the way I am. I like dressing like her. I like looking like her. She's dressed a lot like me, but she's like taller and same thing. She has mass, at least when she wants to. And her hair, the closest I could describe it would be blonde, but it's not exactly. Because light just comes from them. They are their own source of light.
Where does your light come from?
I have a little bit of my own source of light, but it's more dim. It's not exactly dim because light is just light, but it's like you took light and dissolved it into something so that it's more diffuse, more yeah. I can't control it as well. Even though I chose to have it because I didn't have the light before. And it's just less and less close together.
Yes, I understand. Thank you. Now back to this woman you were describing. What is she like?
She's really kind, and she seems to always know what I want. She's good at reading me and knowing where I want to go or what I'm wanting to learn. And seeing her and feeling her wanting me to want what I want and to do what I want to do and learn what I want to learn, just like with Christ, has me wanting to be more like her and be able to do that for others.
Yes. Very good. Now let's leave that scene and move forward to another important time where something is happening that you consider important. You are there now. What is happening? What do you see?
I'm on the earth as a spirit, and there's a war, and I'm upset about the war. I don't like it. I'm feeling really frustrated with them.
Why?
Because I saw what happened, and I know how they're all feeling, and I'm frustrated that they can't see each other. Not really. They're all blinded to their own hurt and frustrations and anger, and so nobody's listening to each other, and so frustrating watching them and knowing that none of them are wrong, but none of them are right. They're just so stuck in themselves, and it reminds me of when I was that singularity, and how in a way they're making each other and themselves nothing because they're refusing to work together, and they're refusing to really look at and see each other.
I see. And why are you there? What are you doing?
I'm trying to help, but I know that I can't, and I don't want to make them do anything different. I'm just trying to help support them anytime someone's trying to do something good or healing. I'm especially there for healing whenever someone is hurt and someone steps in to help them with their injuries or that. And it's interesting because I'm not as concerned about what the person they're healing wants. I'm more concerned about the person who's injured and what they want. And so if in their injury they choose that they want to be done, then I help them to be done, and I help them to release their body. And if they want to heal, and they feel like they have more to do, then I help them with that. And I help their bodies to heal. I help them to I help their spirits, their higher self, to do the work that it takes for their body to be able to heal.
Very good. What does that look like? How do you help their higher self heal?
I just add my energy and my understanding to theirs as a support, because they already have the information that they need, but the physical body makes it really muddy. And so often, in order for them to actually accomplish what they want, someone else needs to step in and help clear the water, help still. You know, like when muddy water just stands for a while, it'll start to filter and go down. I just help them still, to just hold that for them.
That sounds very nice. Did you choose to do this healing work?
I did. I love it, even though it's hard and I get so frustrated. I love watching them. I love helping them and holding them when they need that.
Now, do you do this for anyone who needs it, or are there specific people that you go to?
I just go to whoever's ready for me. I don't know how to explain it other than I just know. It's almost like a beacon. And so as soon as I'm done with one, I immediately know which direction I need to go for the next one. And I don't even worry about any of the rest, because I know that they'll be taken care of.
Yes. Very good. Now, were there other things that you could have chosen to do?
Oh yeah. I could have helped with those that wanted to make the weapons and inspiring them with that, and that really is still good work. It helps me learn more about matter and It helps me to share the things that I've learned with them and inspire them in those things.
Yes.
And it's really fascinating to watch them and see, because as they are building it, they're so thoughtful and they work so hard, and there's something really, even though I know that it will be made for destruction, there's still something so pure about it. And I do spend a little bit of time there to learn about it because it's interesting, but I don't spend very much time because it's not what I love.
Yes. And what you love is to heal.
Mm-hmm.
So did you learn a lot about healing while you were there?
I did. I learned so much about compassion and how messy that can be, especially when we have a body and this earth experience, watching them go through all of that, and how confusing and messy it can feel for them, even though it doesn't seem that way for me. And I learned about stillness. I learned about holding.
About holding?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Wrapping my energy around theirs. And I can do it where the human form that I have, where it's like my arms holding around them, but I can also just lose my human form and just wrap all of my energy around them.
And what does that do?
It helps them to separate from everything that's going on around them, so that they can do the work that they need to do, whether it's in releasing or in healing the body. It separates them, just like how a hug gives you, for just a moment, that sense of only being in that hug or only being in that space. But I can do it completely, and so then they can hold it as much as they choose to accept that.
Wow, very, very cool. Now, does someone teach you how to do this healing?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you learn from?
My friends, like Christ and Lucifer and the woman, her name, I had it for a second. It's not Brianna, even though, but it's like that. It's a name like that.
Yes.
Yeah, anyway, but yeah, I learned from them and how they...
How did they teach you?
They did it for me and for my friends, the others around me, and that fascinated me. That was so cool, so interesting. So it just fascinated me that they could create an experience for me that was exactly what I needed in order to do what I wanted to do, and I couldn't do it by myself. At that point, I hadn't learned enough to be able to do it, and yet I wouldn't have been able to finish learning it without them holding that for me.
Yes. That sounds very beautiful. Is there something that you could describe to us how they created a space for you to learn something or to heal something? Did they do healing or?
Not the way we think of healing. Like, they didn't do anything to me. They just gave me the space I needed and held that space for me until I was ready and I was done.
And what were you doing while you were in this space? What was happening to you?
The first time I was just trying to learn something. I think I was working with light and matter and trying to make them work together, and it wasn't working. I couldn't do it. And it's not exactly that there were distractions, although there was lots of other things going on around me. It wasn't exactly safe to do it, or what I needed to do. I couldn't hold it together without having that space, because that helped hold it in just enough and keep everything from escaping from me. Because I would try and put them together and they would explode. At the time, it just felt like they were running away from me. But here it would just be an explosion.
Yes. And when they created that space, you were able to learn how to do that?
Yeah, because they didn't go too far. I was able to keep them close enough.
Very nice.
And I got to learn lots of different things that way. The first time I was able to manipulate matter was in that.
Very nice. Now, I want you to move forward and leave that scene. Let's move to an important day or time. A time that you consider to be important when something is happening. You are there now. What is happening? What do you see?
My dad there. I see myself as a little girl. Like really little, like 2 or 3.
You have a body.
I like my body.
Is it this body that you're in now?
It is.
What's happening?
He's just sitting there with me right now, and I'm playing.
What is significant about this moment?
It reminds me of being in heaven.
Why?
Because I get to just play and experience what that is, and think about what I'm playing with, and yet my dad's there, and it makes it safe in a way to play. Not that it's not safe to play by myself, but that knowing someone's there. So if I get too frustrated, or if I get hurt, or something like that, I know that he's there.
Yes.
And I can share my frustration, or I can ask for help, or get a hug if I get hurt.
Very nice. you back before you came to Earth, right before you came to Earth, was there a time where you were planning out your life?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I'm sitting with Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother, and they feel like really big plans. I'm really excited, and I planned really, really carefully. I have so many things planned exactly the way I want them, and Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother think it's funny.
Why?
Because so many of us plan it so differently, and they it's like that loving amusement of like knowing that I could never have done it any other way, because I really wanted it to be the perfect experience for me.
And what kind of things did you plan? What kind of experiences, perfect experiences, did you want?
I planned the perfect parents. I'm so excited for who my parents are going to be and who their parents are. I was really, really careful about exactly what kinds of even my ancestors would be, my grandparents and ancestors, so that all of it would be the perfect foundation for me and for that experience.
Why are you so excited about your parents? Why did you choose them?
They're bright lights. They're like me, but each one has more or less light, or yeah. And they're some of the brighter lights. And I know that my father's going to have a lot of problems, and that his light's going to be dimmed a lot. But even that is good. I'm excited about that, because I know the core of him, and I know how bright his light is, but I also know that his light being dimmed on purpose the way that it is, that it's all the things that I really want to learn about. I want to learn about compassion in a way that I can't without this experience. I want to learn about completely letting other people be who they are, because I like planning. I like things being specific and exact. I also like fun, but I want and my dad's fun. He's a lot of fun. My mom's kind of fun. Mostly she's really loving. And for me, that was the perfect blend. Someone who's fun but broken, and someone who's deeply loving.
Now, did you know them before you came to this life? Did you know them in that space?
I did. Not as much as I thought. I had always thought that I had like a really close relationship with them before, but I really didn't. It was more that they were just the perfect mix of what I needed.
Now, when you said that he chose to, you said he chose to dim his light for this life. Can you tell me more about that?
It's his bipolar. He chose to have an experience that would be what we would consider a broken emotions and brain, mental. And he chose a really hard and painful childhood that would break it more.
Why did he choose that? Why did he want it?
He wanted to learn about that. He wanted to learn what it means to be broken. Not physically broken, but to have a brain and emotions that you can't control.
What is the purpose behind that?
Mostly compassion, but yeah, compassion. It's just compassion there is bigger than compassion here. Because compassion there is also like Christ's, where you completely understand it. Yeah. In some form you've experienced it. Which is why Christ has had so many different lives. He has literally experienced all of it. He didn't, not in this creation cycle, but all of those lives before prepared him for this creation cycle.
Yes. Is that what they mean when they say that he has experienced everything that you've experienced?
It is. They don't know that that's what they're talking about, but it is.
Did he ever have an experience that they speak about as a Garden of Gethsemane experience, where he felt everyone's pain or sins?
Not until then, exactly. Not that exact experience, but he had already experienced that, like, overwhelming, crushing feeling of the other life, it was of rejection. It was wanting to be that savior, wanting to help everyone, but being completely rejected and not being able to actually do anything about it.
Very good. Did he have a moment where he felt everyone's sorrow or pain?
I don't feel like he had that in the lives before. Not everyone's, but that he deeply loved in the lives before, and deeply empathized with it, and of course had his own deep sorrow and pain.
Very good. Now, when you said that you got to choose your parents, does everyone get to choose their parents?
They do. They don't always choose, though. Sometimes they just choose that when they want to be born, and then they just find what's the most convenient and is available.
Does anyone help you choose your parents?
If you want. You get as much support in that or not as you want.
Very good. Now, before your parents came down to this earth, did they know that you had chosen them?
Yes.
Did you guys make any agreements?
Yes. um, I'm not remembering them all right now, but I know that part of it was that I was willing to, because it kind of is a negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're looking for certain things and certain experiences, and that, and I am, and so some of it I agreed to, helping them and dealing with stuff that they had agreed to with their parents and their generational things. So I took on some of the generational stuff and agreed that that I would actually end a lot of it, whereas a lot of it kept getting passed down, and they wanted to help with it, but they could only do a little bit.
Yes, is that why you were so picky about who your ancestors were?
Partly, because I wanted it to be something that I knew I could actually end. If I was going to promise that it would stop and end with me, then I wanted to be sure that was going to work out that way, because my dad wanted to end things. But I knew he wasn't going to be able to.
Yes, I'm sure it would be hard with what he chose to have with a broken brain, bipolar.
He ended up adding stuff that he didn't mean to. Yeah, his planning was messier than mine.
Yes. Now, is there anything important about this scene we should know?
I was most excited about being a mom. And I felt really, really honored that the kids that chose to come and let me be their mom. I remember feeling like it was just really amazing that they would choose me. Because in some ways they were a lot like Christ. And they had learned so much already, and I don't know how to describe it other than to say I felt unworthy, but I didn't feel unworthy. Just that most of those that were like them didn't choose someone like me, or like sort of level wise. They mostly kind of tried to really choose each other, and these ones all chose me, and knew that I was the right one for them. And because the idea of being a mother was so amazing to me, I would have been really excited for anybody, for me to be their mother.
Yes.
I love the idea because it's so similar and yet bigger than healing, being a mom. Because you have to hold that space for them forever.
Yes.
Like, really being a mom is holding that space for them forever. And that's what I want. That's what I wanted to do and to be.
Sounds beautiful. Now, let's move forward and leave this scene. Move to another important day, a day that you consider to be important when something is happening. You are there now. What is happening?
I don't see anything. Oh, it's quiet and it's dark because the Earth's cycle has ended. And there's a space between that I didn't expect, where everything's quiet and dark. And I get to hold that space for as long as I want and just ponder, study on all the things that I've learned up to this point. All the things I've experienced, and I can remember all of it.
You can remember it all in very vivid detail?
Yeah, I can go back to every moment as if I was literally living it again.
That sounds wonderful. Can we go back and can you tell me what happened to the Earth?
It just was done. I don't know exactly. I wasn't there when it happened. I just know that there was, just like everything, there's a cycle. And I'd moved on to working on other things. But I wanted to be back when the cycle was over so that I could like honor that.
Yes.
I could be there in that space of it just being done. And it's really cool because everything here on Earth never really truly finishes. Like, we say it finishes, but it doesn't really work that way. There's always the ripples.
Yes.
But this, it's really actually finished. And of course there's what we've learned from it and what we choose to do with it after. And so there's those kind of ripples, but there is a completeness that you can't experience anywhere else.
Very good. Is there anything important to know about this scene where you are?
It reminds me of when I've given birth to my babies, and that really short moment, just for a second, of giving birth and holding that baby and knowing you're done.
Yes.
It happens for so, like, yeah, it's so short, but there is that minuscule moment of just completion.
Yes.
It's such a wonderful moment.
Yes.
There's something so perfect about being that completion, that being done.
Sounds so wonderful being there.
Yeah. And with a baby, you don't have the time to like stop and honor that moment the same way. But this, I get to do that. I get to be in that moment for as long as I want, of just honoring all the work, everything that went into this, and then it being done.
Very good.
I like that.
Sounds like a beautiful place to be.
Yeah. Not everyone decides to do that. A lot of people just move on, and that's okay. They don't really care about the being done, but for some reason that matters to me, and I really want to honor and take that time.
Now, from where you are, you can see your whole life that you lived. Are there many lives that you've lived from where you are, or just the one?
Sort of. There's other timelines. There's other, like, in the sort of a different dimension, but it's within the time dimensions. So I actually have a little bit, my parents are a little different. The person I marry is different. Our kids are a little different. And I can remember them. So my experiences are different. I actually got to experience lots of different lifetimes, but they're all pretty much in the same part of the Earth cycle.
The same timeline, would you say?
Yeah, roughly.
And is there a number that you could give me for how many you experienced?
113.
Wow. And did they all happen simultaneously?
Pretty much. Some of them are only moments of difference, and some of them are a few years. That's the biggest difference.
So
like 2 years.
Yes. So when your soul decided to come down, it came down once and had that many experiences. And now you're on the other side of it. And how are you different?
I understand now. Like before I wanted to understand, but now I really understand why Christ chose all the different things that he chose. And my other friends did, and the different lifetimes and different, because some of them were completely different creation cycles. It's the best I could describe them. Different universes, and it's so rich. It's so because here you can only experience so much in any one moment. You know, there's limitations to it, and before that I had limitations because I didn't understand them. I hadn't experienced that.
Yes.
And all of a sudden now, because I have 113 different similar but not the same lives, in some ways so very different, there's this amazing dimension and depth to my experience and my understanding. And I can experience such complexity that I couldn't before. Because I can be on this end of it, I can be in all the timelines at the same time.
Now, did you plan out each of those lives?
Yes, very much.
And did you plan them out at the same moment that you were speaking of earlier when you were with Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother planning out this life?
Sort of. Because I'm able to spread myself, or because there are the different dimensions, I was able to think in the different dimensions, and I was able to create, and I even got to choose how many different lives I wanted with those, how much I wanted to spread that out, because I didn't want it to be too much, and I didn't want it to be so little that it was a small experience.
Yes.
And to me, small seemed like if it was only 70, that seemed small to me.
Yes.
I didn't want that.
And all of these experience and lifetimes are on this earth.
Yes, they were on this earth. I like this earth.
How do you feel about this earth?
Like a friend. The core, the spark or singularity that is the consciousness or the intelligence of this earth, I really liked. And so I waited until it was ready to be an earth.
And this was your first experience in the physical. Very nice. Is there anything important to know about this? Anything else?
I just really, really liked the earth. Like a really good friend. And so when I helped with the creation, it was really important to me that it be good. That it be not good the way people say good, but more like that biblical good. That it be right and beautiful, that everything that I added to it honored the being that was earth.
And let's go to that. When you did help with the creation, can you tell me about that?
She's beautiful. Just everything that people say about Mother Earth is so that's who she is, and they're not all the same. Each planet, each being, they're so different, and she was so loving and nurturing and calm. She has this amazingly deep, profound calm and peace. And there are others that don't, that are more harsh or more stern or are more or even more silly, or more, they're just different. And I knew when I met her and got to know her that that was the earth I wanted to be on.
Wonderful. Anything else that is important about this?
Fun because it's challenging and it's frustrating and it's a game. Yeah.
Thank you. So,
Starting at the top of the head, the brain's a little tired.
can you help her brain?
It just needs to clear away some of the stuff that accumulates through the day.
Can you clear that away?
Wash it away.
You're washing it away now?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you do that?
There's a light that's specific for that. Sort of like turning on a faucet.
Can this be something that is done every day to her to help clear her mind?
Yes. It actually happens automatically every night. But
Wonderful.
depending on how much the sleep gets interrupted, it can sometimes be incomplete.
If it gets incomplete, is there something we can put into place that turns on the faucet more, so to speak, to help clear it?
Yeah. And meditation also turns it on. And I can put a button that will just gently pick up anything that's left over. They're just accumulating stuff, energy. So I'm washing that away because it's just static.
What kind of energy is she accumulating?
A little bit from everywhere. So it's not very noticeable. A little bit from kids, a little bit from husband, a little bit from the house, the ground, people. But just little bits, not very much.
And is this not in her best good?
It's not bad, but it's not. It's more neutral, so it's kind of pointless. So I'm washing it away.
Okay. Does it have a purpose?
Reminds her to slow down. so that it's as much of an emotional experience and nurturing as it is physical. Like nectarines and fresh tomatoes right off the vine. And
what did you want her to get out of it?
I love her.
Just wanted to let her know the love that you have for her.
And she's so independent. And that's why I love her, but it also means I don't get to hug her as much as I'd like. And sometimes I miss that.
Yes. What could she do to feel this love from you and connect and be hugged?
To stop and remember that we are still separate. As much as we're together, we're still separate, and so we need to talk every once in a while. Or just be together without the distractions of everything else. That's why meditation is so good. Because it lets everything else slip away.
What's a good way for her to meditate? What's the best way for her?
She likes active meditation, walking and doing things, and that's nice, but my favorite is when we just sit and do the japa meditation, the chanting that helps everything else go away. Walking meditation is a wonderful meditation for connecting with the body and having that reconnecting and loving those parts.
Yes.
But I need the quiet. I need the stillness and the chanting that holds everything else at bay.
Very good. Thank you. Yourself.
I'm the oneness.
What does that mean?
I'm the part that is everything. I'm the fabric that holds everything together. It's like a sea. I even have waves and tides. I flow. I rise and I fall. I give the rhythm to everything that is.
Sounds wonderful.
It is. It's the love that everyone yearns for.
So she is the love that everyone yearns for already? Very good, thank you. Now, speaking of Christ, What is the atonement? Did she learn about that before she came to this earth?
Sort of.
Did they teach her about it?
It really is the at-one-ment. It's the putting their energy around all that suffers and holding it and gently placing it into the oneness and holding that however long all of it needs until it can just accept and relax into the oneness.
That's beautiful. And what is Christ's role in this atonement?
In his arms. At least everything that for us means and symbolizes arms.
Yes.
What did arms symbolize?
Wonderful. And do we need to do anything to receive this?
No. It's
Beautiful.
received.